Hey everyone, welcome to another session of the Automation Hours. My name is Grady. I'm a coach here at Keep. And to kick things off today, we're asking you guys this question. What are your top 3 questions around delivery and fulfillment automation? That idea of once you have uh, collected leads, you've converted your clients, and now how do you um, create fans? And so today's session is going to be a lot about how we make that happen. There's my other window. Perfect. So yes, today's going to be an automation mastermind. It's really meant to be interactive with you guys. And so thank you guys so much for jumping into the chat and getting engaged. In fact, speaking of getting engaged, there are some great tools that Zoom provides for us to help us to make sure this is an engaging, interactive mastermind. The first thing you can do is raise your hand. If you've got a question, Zoom has this awesome feature where you can click on raise hand and a little hand goes up next to your name and we can give you access to unmute your microphone and you can talk with the panel. It's really interactive. It's really effective and works super well to make sure that we can get everything resolved for you today. Now, I can appreciate not everyone likes being on a microphone. That's okay. We've also got Q&A. And with Q&A, you can type in your questions and they'll go into a list of unresolved concerns, unanswered questions to make sure that we don't miss anybody. Because the last tool we've got is chat. And sometimes people will throw questions in the chat and those often will get missed because unless we can get to your question right away, typically it'll scroll by with other interactions and we'll miss it. So use chat instead to share ideas, thoughts, feedback, maybe your own successes or your own struggles. And when you do, make sure to change that toggle from all panelists to all panelists and all attendees. That way, everyone in the session can see what you're sharing as well. So if we don't have a chance to share it out loud, which we always try to, but if we don't have a chance, everyone else can see what you're sharing. And so let's say you tried a strategy or someone's sharing a pain point and you've overcome that pain point before, throw that into the chat so that everyone can see an option for a solution. And we'll also try our best, like I said, to bring that into the conversation. So let's just talk more about this idea here of delivery and fulfillment. It's that idea of once somebody has bought our product, it's very common and typical for small businesses to kind of put a bow on it and consider it done. But really, that's one of the most important areas for us to focus on, because I will tell you that most small business owners that I talk with, they get their best leads from word of mouth. And if that's you as well, let me know in the chat if you're the same way. Like anyone who finds you from a past customer is typically an easy close and a dream to work with. If that's you, let me know in the chat as well, so you just can see where the room's at. But being able to have a wonderful fulfillment process, a post-sale process, is essential to making sure you get more of those people coming your way, being able to find you and enjoy what you provide. And so we'll talk about some ideas and some thoughts that we want to share today, as well as answer your questions. This is going to be a live interactive session today. So thank you guys so much for being here live and being part of the conversation. Now, we've got 2 excellent co-presenters today for us. The first one's Paul Sokol from B Pro. He is a master when it comes to automated processes. He actually used to work here at Keep and helped us to define some of the ways that we run our business and help our customers. In fact, if you were to go to our marketplace and go to it's marketplace.infusionsoft.com, I would say a great many number of the campaigns that you find in that marketplace available to you were made by Paul. And so we're super happy that he's here today. As well as joining us is Renee Badakian, who's a frequent guest of the Automation Hours. You guys probably all know her already, but if this is your first time, I'm super happy that Renee's here as well, because she's also a genius when it comes to Keep. But not only that, but she's got a bunch of other expertises, I think that's the word we want to say, that helps to lend to her ability to help our small business owners grow and to improve their business. Guys, how are you doing today?
Hi, Grady.
Wonderful. Hi, Grady.
Hey, guys. I know I was trying to figure out when do I transition to you guys, because if there's 2 slides introducing you, I didn't want to talk about Paul and forget all about Renee. So I'm glad that we got one here to get started and get you guys introduced. I'm super happy you're hitting me with me today as well. I've been gone for 2 weeks before that, so I've missed your guys' co-session. So I'm super happy to be here and catch the last one we got so far scheduled.
Yeah, it's good to have you back here. And of course, Renee, always good to see and do stuff. Let's talk about fulfillment delivery.
Yeah, let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen so you guys can share yours. And definitely we'll get underway.
And for the people watching live, I've got the chat and the Q&A on my second monitor over here. So I'm absolutely paying attention, but I want to make sure I'm getting y'all. So
Awesome. Grady, do you see my screen? Let's get started.
I do.
Okay, wonderful. So what Grady just touched on was that Paul and I have done a ton of sessions, and we've really focused on the sales automation side of things. That's one of both of our areas of expertise. And so what I wanted to call out, if it is your first time here, and perhaps we can get some of these recap links in the email that'll go out, but Paul and I have done a ton. So if you're interested in sales automation, because this, what we're talking about today is post sales. How do you make sure to have a successful delivery and fulfillment piece? But obviously we need to get the conversion first, so we get the opportunity to actually deliver. And so we have a ton of sessions that have almost been dating back to a year ago, in April of 2020, and as recently as just a few weeks ago on March the 4th. So I would love for you guys to be able to have these as a resource, because again, we talk about a lot. We go into a lot of details, and there are some real nuggets in a lot of these sessions. So I just wanted to call those out.
Yeah, I'm going to grab those and I'm going to throw them in the chat for you guys. That way you guys can click on them and save them and keep them forever.
Yes, and David asked a question. He was talking about, I guess he's in the real estate industry. This is for all that post-sale stuff. So if you're word of mouth heavy, you'll still be able to get some value out of it as far as referrals, testimonials, those kinds of things. So yes.
Awesome. So what we are talking about today is going to be all centered around delivery and fulfillment. And like Grady mentioned, this is going to be a little bit of a different format than the automation hours. We did do this format on a couple of weeks ago when we did the sales automation mastermind. And so this is really the sequel to that, the fulfillment or delivery and fulfillment. And really what we're going to be talking about is some tactics and setups with onboarding, delivery, and follow-up care. So we're going to touch on those things, but really what we intend for today's session is to get your questions answered. So if you have a specific question to your business, to your industry, whether it's whether it has to do with delivery, onboarding clients successfully so they all have the same experience, load up those questions so we can make sure to get them answered. Because what really makes a mastermind powerful is that we have the ability to all, us as panelists, we certainly can weigh in. We have the expertise, but there might also be another member who is attending today who might have insights to be able to provide for you. So what's really powerful about it is that we can all kind of group think on a question. And I think that's what I love with masterminds. So now, if I ask this question and you came last time, no cheating, you cannot answer. So my question is, who is this gentleman that I've put up here? Can anybody give me his name? He's the one who coined the mastermind term, that it's a group of peer-to-peer mentoring. And so I'm curious, does anybody know the name of this strapping gentleman?
He's handsome. Look how dapper he is.
He's handsome. He's like a black and white. So you got to know it's got to be from the 1800s.
Oh yeah, he had to sit for 5 whole minutes being that handsome to get that one print.
So I don't see any.
I'm not seeing any chatter. Yeah, y'all awake? You had your coffees yet? I know it's almost Friday. Pierre,
I cheated. I looked at the slides, so I didn't know the answer, but I didn't know it beforehand.
So I won't keep the suspense going too long. Okay, I love that there's guesses.
All right, there's a guess. That's a good guess. Yeah, Patrick saying Carnegie. That's a good guess. Not give you a hint. I don't know. If you think about it, you might grow an answer.
Janet's got it.
Janet's got it.
Janet, you got it. This is Napoleon Hill, author of Think and Grow Rich. So Paul was just giving you a massive hint. But awesome. So he's the one who came up, he coined the mastermind term. And I just wanted to give him a shout out because he did all of us this humongous service. So without further ado, then let's get started. We talked about really three things we're going to touch on: some mechanisms that you can put in place, some automation that you can put in place for onboarding, for delivery, and also the follow-up care. And Grady actually touched on it, that there is this resource called the marketplace. And this marketplace has a ton. And when I say a ton, I mean like a ton of pre-built campaigns, pre-built automations. And these really serve two purposes in my mind. Some of them you can just literally go ahead and install for free. All of them are free into your application, and then use them, just modify them to your business, right? Put your logo, all that stuff, make sure they're coming from the right person, but you can pretty much plug and play with them. Or what I like to do is I like to use them at least as a starting point, so I don't need to reinvent the wheel. Yes, David, this is the marketplace inside of Keep. And so because I want to make this as easy as possible, Paul and I want to make this as easy as possible for you to get the automations that we're talking about, what we're going to do is we're going to actually call out some of the good automations that are built inside of the marketplace that we can all download into the applications for free. And Grady touched on it, but Paul has built many of these, most. And
my goal is to beat him, actually.
So Grady and Paul, like they're like this little like leaderboard, but essentially.
Oh, that's funny. We did the exact same thing. Oh, that's funny.
Great minds.
They think alike, you know. So I think the thing to call out here is that some of these automations were built over half a decade ago, and yet they're as good and as, you know, relevant today as they were. So they're really timeless. And so that's what I really want to call out here. Now, let me switch gears and open up the first one. Let me go back to our agenda slide just to make sure that we're covering them in the right order. So the first thing that I put here was the onboarding tactics. So once somebody pays us, once we have that happy dance, you know, someone has paid us, we're excited. Now, what's really important is that we give them the right onboarding, that the right first steps, especially if they're a first-time client, we want to make sure that they know, okay, here's the expectations, here's what you need to do first, here's what you need to do second, so that we set them up for success to be our client. We want to let our clients know how to be good clients, and an onboarding is an excellent way of doing that. So the first automation campaign that I want to call out from the Keep Marketplace, which is the link that Paul and Grady both put in there, so you have it twice, is the new customer welcome and wow. And so this particular automation, let me just explain to you really briefly what's going on. So these elements right here, and like I said, Paul and Grady touched on it. Paul has not, too much trying. Paul has not been with Keep for a while now. So some of the elements in this little picture don't exist inside the campaign builder, but that's okay. So these little pieces right here, the campaign still works. These little pieces right here used to be traffic sources. Those are no longer part of campaign builder. But this piece, which I'm going to put in a different color, this piece right here, your goals and your sequences, all of this is going to load into your campaign when you click on this install button. So I just want to call that out, that if it looks slightly different in the little picture, that's why. Yeah. And so basically what this is saying is that, actually, I'm going to let Paul talk to this because he built it.
Well, do you want to actually show them how to install a campaign if they've never done it? Because I mean, it's push button simple.
Perfect. Yes. So right below, if you guys have never installed a campaign from the marketplace, you'll see that there is this blue, gorgeous install button here, and it says free, which is even better. So we're going to go ahead and install it. And then in your case, you're going to just see your application. So let's open up the application. So it's just going to look like this on your screen. You're going to check the green box and you're going to click on begin install. It's as easy as that. So once we click on begin install, you're going to see the progress bar. Installation was successful, and you can get right into the campaign right from the view campaign button. So if I just go ahead and click on that, it's taking me into my application, into the campaign I just downloaded. And what you can see here is that Paul has done a stellar job of not only building those pieces that we just looked at, the goals and the sequence, but he's also put some instructions, which is even better. So let me go ahead and zoom in. And Paul, do you want to quickly, I know we want to spend time answering questions, but do you want to quickly talk through what the campaign does?
Yeah. So strategically, just from a functional standpoint, what's happening is the system is told that a purchase happens. Either it actually records an order and it's flagged as paid, or we hit the big red automation button that's a note template and says, hey, we got a sale. When one of those two things happens, then that triggers the follow-up automation, whatever that may be. So I think in this model, if you want to open up the sequence, Renee, I think this one is a simple 3 email. And can you zoom in just a little bit? Because I know that, and I'm going to actually move all to the right. Okay, so you can see that it's a simple 3 email model, which of course you can build upon however you want. But there's an initial, congratulations, welcome to the family email, and then a day later, hey, if you're on social media, so are we, check it out. And then a couple of days later, just the idea of a simple survey. And I think that's like a buying survey, just, hey, how easy was it to buy? If you open any one of those emails with any campaign that comes in the marketplace, they're 80% ready to go. The theory is that you shouldn't have to change anything and it'll work. It may not be exactly you, but it'll at least work. So, and of course, obviously customize it to your liking. But this is just really simple, kind of onboarding automation. And so as far as questions, when we get to the Q&A part, maybe think about your own business and how this might work or might not work. Or, what if there needs to be a task in there? What if a human has to physically mail something, for example, as part of your onboarding? We can talk about those ideas. Are we missing anything on this one? This is a pretty straightforward, they buy, and here's what we do to make sure they're being taken care of.
No, I don't think so. Maybe you just quickly, because note templates are only available in Keep Max Classic. So if you're a Keep Pro or a Keep Max user, then what you would do instead, or what you could do instead, is you could create a smart form.
Oh yeah.
Right? You could create a smart form and you could put a drop down in that smart form to function kind of similarly. Like that would be a little bit more of an advanced setup.
Yep.
And so if you guys are a Keep Max Classic or a Keep Pro user, you can always connect with Paul or myself, and we can always, again, we can talk through it today, but if the question comes up later, we can also help you to make modifications later as well. So this is the new customer welcome in WOW. And what you can see here is that it is going to do this every single time. So this is the key, is that we want to make sure that that the experience is consistent, it's predictable, it's reliable, that it's not based on humans, because humans get busy, humans forget things. So we don't want humans in charge.
Yes.
One thing that came into the chat was Katrina. She says, "Can you explain the 2 carts?" Again,
Yes.
this one has a little bit older icons. I see how it's like,
Oh
I can
yeah,
see
I
the
can
real
see why
icon
that's
in the corner,
confusing.
and then
Oh,
I see
wow.
the old one that got mixed up, just because
Yeah.
the old icon doesn't exist anymore.
That's how old these campaigns are.
So really,
But they still work.
It still does the same thing.
Yeah. So that's it's good eye, Katrina. Yeah. No. So one of them is a formal note, which, as Renee said, only exists in Max Classic. If you have Pro or Grow or regular Max, you can use one of these smart forms. And I don't even think you would need a radio button or anything, Renee. Couldn't it just be, hey, give them their name and email and just confirm their customer info, and then that can be enough? Cool. And that's a great alternative. So
yeah,
awesome question. Thank you, Katrina.
Any other questions before we move forward to just showing the delivery automation?
Yeah. And then we can look at all specific examples and use cases when we're taking Q&A at the end. But so as far as onboarding, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
They buy and we do something automatically.
Perfect. So similar to the first campaign, we have another campaign here, and this comes with delivery. So this is the free resource campaign. And the idea behind this is that if you need to send something, right, after you've had your onboarding call and now you need to trigger automation to begin, you could use this free resource campaign to continue to deliver the experience. And so again, just a reminder that this website function, this website traffic source is not going to load in, but everything else is going to load in, as you see here. And again, you're able to now install a second automation just by going to the install button, doing those exact same steps, clicking on the checkbox, and then we begin to install this one as well. And you can see the installation process happens pretty quickly. And then I'm able to open this up inside of this campaign and then take a look at it this way. So Paul, do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, for sure. So when it comes to the delivery of, this is usually kind of like a service-based example, but it also happens to products too. When it comes to delivering some kind of a resource that people need. So maybe it's like a quick start guide, or maybe after their onboarding call, then there's some other thing you need to give them, or maybe it's, again, here's a setup guide, just whatever, here's some resource. So to make sure that that experience is consistent every time we deliver that, whether it's me or 50 other fulfillment agents that are out there, we can actually take that workflow and automate it so it's consistent every single time. So what you're looking at here is, and feel free to get rid of those notes, Renee, just to get rid of the distraction. Yeah, that's cool. Oh, so thank you. So starting with the web form, this campaign was designed to be, hey, I want to offer a free resource on my website, but this structure also works in the fulfillment part of the journey, not just the marketing part that we might think. So instead of using a web form on your site, you could actually modify this to use an internal form or a smart form that your fulfillment agents use. So at the end of an onboarding call, for example, let's say that there's like a quick start guide, and let's say that at the end of the call, hey, I need to send you the quick start guide again. Okay, cool. Or even on the phone, I like doing this a lot, filling out forms live on the phone with people so they get it right away. Agent fills out the form, and usually it's just like, what's the person's name and email, and then it automatically delivers the resource. And once they click to download it, which is the second circle, the download resource goal, then in this case, I think it just says tag switching, but you can have other follow-up. So you could follow up as the agent the next day and say, hey, what do you think about that quick start guide? And then in the resource delivery, Renee, we hit them a couple times, right? That's, oh, no, we don't. This is, okay. But it's set up to have a follow-up as well. So that's right. All of these models are just really, really good starting points. So
yeah. And the nice thing too about when it's that way is that I always like to write the first email once, make it look like it should, and then I just copy it and make edits. So it still feels unique, but all the work of finding the right things, the pictures I need. So I actually like when it's just the first email and then I just copy when I'm ready.
Yeah. And honestly, when I'm doing this kind of automation, I just change the subject line. Sometimes I don't even change the body of the email. In this case, because they're clicking on it, I would change the email, but sometimes we just want to get them to open it. And I'll just change the subject line and send them the same email 2-3 times until I've had clients that do it up to 5 times over the course of like 2 months, just to try and get them to open the email and engage further. But yeah, you can send a reminder. So in the case of fulfillment, maybe we don't wait a day, maybe we wait a week. And we say, hey, we did your onboarding call last day of the week. I want to make sure you got this resource guide. And you just happen to serendipitously roll in there and provide a good experience, instead of saying, hey, I sent you this resource and I saw you didn't click the link to download it. Here's the link again. Like, that's not cool. Be human.
Yeah, exactly. And then what you're able to do with some of the features, and this is regardless of if you're Keep Pro, Keep Max, or Keep Max Classic, is the way this was designed is that Paul has tags so that status, because there's a portion of people that you've sent it to, and then there's a portion of people that have downloaded it. So the first tag is just that the resource has been sent. Let's say in this case, it was requested because it was originally coming through a web form, but we would modify that to say resource, let's say delivered or sent. And then in the second sequence, the tag switching, what's happening there is that would come off and then it would go to downloaded. So you'd have data that you could segment and search from your list to say, show me the people who have actually been sent it, which if you wanted to know everybody, you would search for both those tags, but you'd be able to pare down and say, who are the ones that have just not opened it yet, not clicked the link versus the ones who haven't. So you'd be able to get a little bit more micro segmentation, which is really cool.
And what else is cool is you should be able to get really, really high open and click-through rates on this because it's very transactional. And so, you know, maybe you don't have thousands of people going through it, but over the course of maybe a quarter or a year, maybe 50, 100, 200 people, like maybe more, depending on how big you are, you'll get an 80% open rate on these kinds of campaigns. And like, that just feels good. That lets you know that you're doing good and taking care of people. We all know that open rates don't mean money in the bank, but it's a good lead. It's a lagging indicator of, you know, do people care? So, and we're getting some great questions in the Q&A, by the way. And so if you have a formal question for the end, you can put it in the Q&A section and not the formal chat, although we will be making sure to monitor the formal chat.
Awesome. Paul, do we want to take a moment, quickly talk about the last campaign and then lead into Q&A?
Yeah.
Okay,
let's rip through that one real quick because on the previous mastermind, we spent a little too much looking at the models and not enough fielding questions. So this time we learned, let's look at this last one real quick.
Okay, awesome.
I don't know which one it is.
So surprise, this is the referral generator. So once you have, again, delivery and fulfillment, by the way, you guys, you could almost think of these as synonymous words. A lot of people will think of delivery, but like fulfillment is like the entire process, like at the front end and the back end of fulfillment. It's kind of like everything that's going on. Yeah. And so at the back end of fulfillment, like deep into fulfillment, is when you're going to do something like this, a referral generator, because you're going to ask for a referral from happy people, but you're only going to be able to know that they're happy if you did the previous two steps. If you delivered to them, you onboarded them. Now, later on into their journey with your business, you're able to ask them for something now, like a referral. So what we know is there's a super high stat that people buy from people that they know. So having a referral is super powerful, and it automatically basically skips the customer in their journey because, right, there's a point in time the customer didn't know you, didn't know your business. And so the regular kind of like non-referred way is like they would see you on an ad or maybe word of mouth, or somehow they would find out about you. Then they would come to your website, they would check you out, maybe download a resource, give you their name and email, then eventually get on like a conversation or a webinar, something like that. When someone asks me, hey, I'm looking for like a lawn care person, and I'm like, oh, I have a guy or a gal, and I refer that person is not going to go through the process of going to, like, they might skim things, but what's happening is that the customer journey is accelerating at a much quicker rate. So it might be going in that right order, but it's moving through quickly because the weight of the referral puts a lot of power into that. And so the customer, more or less, the new referred lead more or less knows that they want to go with you, unless you royally screw it up on the call and you say something that like they don't like. It's yours to lose basically at that point, because if they have the budget and the decision-making power, then they should, and you're the right solution to the problem that they have, then they're way more likely to close. So a referred lead is super powerful. And here's the crazy thing. Our customers are willing to give us a referred lead. There was a stat I shared a couple of webinars ago that 80% of your customers are willing to give you a referral, but only 16%, if I'm remembering these stats correctly, only 16% of people actually ask their customers for a referral. Like, so, and that's a very, very low percentage. So again, if so many people are willing, and we know that referred leads have a lot more, like move through the decision-making process quicker and are more likely to even convert. Conversion rates are going to be higher. The onus is on us to really ask for those referrals. So this campaign is awesome because we're making sure at the front end of it that our customers are satisfied with our service. And then when they are satisfied, we then ask them for that referral, and we put this process in place. So let's go ahead and install this campaign as well. and we'll talk through this one and then lead into Q&A. So as we're going through this, I know there's a lot of great questions coming in, but keep loading those questions up so that we can answer as many of them as possible. Okay.
Yeah, man, so this is a fun one, guys, because you can't be like, hey, give us a referral, and then your customer is like, yeah, go ahead, and here's Bob, here's his email. You can't just email those people. That's illegal. You'll get your app shut down. So this was a very challenging campaign to design, because how do we get referrals given we don't want you to accidentally get shut down? That would be not cool. The other thing too is we also have a survey campaign as well. And so this was supposed to work with that survey campaign if people were satisfied. So Renee, if you want to open that very first goal, that's a tag-based goal. This is the same tag that is being used, I believe, unless it's changed, it should be the same tag that's being used on the customer survey or NPS campaign, one of those kinds of things. And so you can actually chain marketplace stuff together as well. So you can do a survey, and then only if they're satisfied, then they get tagged, which kicks this whole thing off. So thank you. You can close this little window here. So the magic here is actually in the web form itself. So if you want to go ahead and open that up, because the way that Infusionsoft works is, the way that Keep works is when somebody fills out a form, it's creating a record in the database. But the person who is filling out the form is not the contact that's in the database. So as you can see, there's friend's name and friend's phone, right? If you open one of those friends fields up, Renee, you'll see that that is the proper name field and the proper phone field. Yep. The my name and my email, those are custom fields that get installed with the campaign. So what this allows us to do is I can put my name in as the referring in my email, and then put Renee as my friend with her phone number, and the system will create a brand new contact record for Renee. And then in the custom fields, it'll say, hey, Paul was the guy that the person that recommended her. So that's how we can safely create a new referral in the system without worrying about the email stuff, because we're not even collecting the friend's email. Could a user add their own email field and collect it and break the rules themselves? Yeah, they could. So don't.
Right. Because the friend hasn't consented to giving their email. Yes. So
and that's
that
what
that would be the like if I knew Paul's email and I was going and filling out forms on Paul's behalf, well, he probably wouldn't be very happy with me. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. And also that brings up a great point. This is 2021 when we're recording this. We are doing a lot more automated text messaging and whatnot. This does not give you consent to start texting the friend's phone either. So stay compliant. So if you go back to the campaign, I know that's real heavy-handed. I guess I don't want anybody to get shut down. That would be like the dumbest reason to like lose your account. You can see in the resulting sequence, there's a task to call them. And then if you're using sales pipelines, maybe this creates an opportunity to go ahead and call them. But if you look in that task, the instructions should be really clear on like what's going on here. So, hey, go ahead and call this person at this phone number. They referred to us by this person, and then we give their email too. So you can now search that email in your database and say, hey, who's who recommended us? And then if you want to go back to the campaign level, that's how the form and the follow-up works. And then the ask for customer referral, that should be, I think that's just 1 or 2 emails that are a month or so. No, it's just 1 email. The reason we can't really do a follow-up is there's not really any way to say, hey, when person A submits this form for person B, go ahead and stop the automation for person A. And if that sounds confusing, it is confusing. That you can't do that. So, but if you open up that email, Renee, you'll see that it's just linking to that form and just casually saying, hey, thanks. Who do you know? Click here. Give us your name and phone number.
Right. Because just to further explain what Paul's saying, it's like you have person A right here, who is your customer, And so this email is going to the customer. But then you see here at the top that there is another person. Let's make it a different color. There's another person here. And so this person, person A, stops at the ask for a customer referral. And this becomes the new person, person B. Because as Paul was saying, that the field that says your friend's name is actually creating the contact. That's why we can't really put multiple emails here, because there isn't a way for us to know that person A actually referred person B. Those become two separate records that are not linked together at the campaign level.
Yeah, I think like maybe the closest you can get is a link click goal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that would be really smart. If
that
they
would be
click
cool.
to the forum, yeah. And I want to say, I think that plus this might have some kind of like referral connector or something where
Yes, they
you
do.
can, like
They
put
do.
the contact ID of the referral something, but that's
Third party.
that's extra.
That's level 2.
That's level 2. Yeah, this is let's just, because we got some great questions. I'm kind of excited. Just
Okay.
Is there anything else on this? Did we miss anything?
Pierre had a couple things in the chat looking for some clarity. I think he's looking more for your guys' processes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so why don't we dive into the Q&As? We've got a good amount of time, and yeah, let's just mastermind this out. So I have the Q&A open. Grady, do you want to moderate us?
Yep.
For questions?
Yeah.
Paul, is there anything you want to address on that chat there?
Well, so I guess so Pierre's got a great question. He sent it to just us as the panelists, Grady. I guess if you want to maybe clarify that one, because I'm not sure I'm getting what he's saying there.
As I read it, I think Pierre's asking more for your guys' process. Maybe that's just a better one to take offline. Like I said earlier in the chat, I'll have a way for you guys to reach out to Paul and Renee after this session when I send you guys a follow-up email. And so you're looking for something like kind of maybe more detailed on their processes. That might be a good conversation there. But I do, Pierre, you're the first one in line for our questions today. And so Pierre asked, on a sign-up form on the homepage, how would you automatically integrate the top most visited blog posts from the blog page to the newsletter while segmenting audience based on what the blog they clicked on the newsletter?
I mean, first of all, that's a fantastic question, Pierre. I love it. I'm understanding it. Renee, are you understanding it? I'm kind of interested because I feel like this is touch your nose this way or touch your nose this way. There's a couple ways to go about it. So,
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess maybe to restate it, let me make sure I'm understanding it. So Pierre, you're saying, hey, I've got a sign up form for the blog on my homepage. How am I automatically going to make sure that my newsletter has the most visited blog posts in it? And also that it segments people based on what they're clicking on in the newsletter. That's what I'm getting from the question. Are you Grady and Renee? Is that what you're getting from it as well?
I think so. Maybe the idea is that you don't want to send them a blog post of one they've already seen in the newsletter.
What I would
or
say,
it could be just knowing which blog post is yielding the most new signups.
Okay.
That's kind of where I'm at. Every blog post is about an area of interest. Okay. And then Pierre, tell me more about that segmentation need that you've got, because I'm not quite following either.
what I would recommend, Grady and Pierre, if this is okay with you, we can bring you up and you can just have the conversation with us so we can ask these questions.
Yeah. If you want to click, I think raise your hand, Pierre, and we can let you in and you can.
Oh yes, totally.
Yeah, because this is a great question. Again, I think there's two parts to it. I think as far as like the answer.
So all right, Pierre, you have the access to unmute now.
Woo.
All right, so you're unmuted. I don't hear you yet though, so maybe double check your audio settings.
Yeah.
I think I can hear him.
I think we might hear some background noise. Are you on the right mic, Pierre? Do we hear you?
New computer, wrong mic.
There it is.
There you are.
Hi, Pierre.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Pierre.
So first and foremost, this is the second time I see you, and I really appreciate the content. It's amazing. And I know it's a bit of a difficult, not difficult, but intricate, because I'm building my own website right now. So I'm trying to figure out the correlation between Keep, WordPress, add-ons, it's all a big melting pot, let's say.
Yes. Okay. And so to clarify your question, you're wanting to say, how do we get the most visited blog posts in the newsletter?
So let's
First
say
part.
that
Yeah.
let's say that I have a newsletter form on the homepage. So somebody puts his first name, second name, email, signs up for the newsletter. And I want to build a newsletter that I already saw that it's possible in Keep, and it's possible to, based on how do you tag the newsletter, give a segment to the contact base. So I don't know if people like something about IT, they will be like their interest will be IT. But how do I automatically choose on the homepage in the month the most liked blog posts and bring them to Keep's newsletter?
I think I got the question. Should I try and take it?
Yeah, go for it. I'm actually just
Okay.
see if you're hearing it.
So there's the front end of the website and then the back end experience. So what you're talking about, Pierre, is actually like a combination of both. And so on the front end of the website, to display the most like popular blog post, that wouldn't be a Keep function. That would be a WordPress function, or it has to be part of the blog. So there's a couple of different ideas that come to mind, but one could be like a scoring. So like I'm sure you've seen on a lot of blogs, there's like a sharing. So you could maybe rank in the back end of WordPress based on like the ones that are most shared or most liked or most commented on, and have those. And then you would also probably, even on the back end of your blog, have categories. So you might have like a tech category, e-commerce category. I'm just like throwing ideas out there, not knowing too much about your specific business, but you could have the categories, and that would basically be the front end experience. Then what that looks like from the back end is when people fill out the form, right? A newsletter sign up form, you would want to do one of two things. And I think, Paul, let me know your thoughts on this. But thing number one is, on the form, you could actually say like, what's your interest? And you can let people help self-segment what they're interested in. And then based on tags or a field that you're updating in the back end of the database inside of Keep, you could then, when you send them subsequent newsletter communications, you can send specific ones like for the tech or for the this or for the that. So you can make them very specific to their interest. The other way to do it is you could have different sign up forms. Like from the front end, they could look the same, like, give me your email and name. But you could, on your tech blogs, put like a tech one. And so like from the back end experience, it could be tagging them. So it's more of a hidden experience for them, but based on which one they signed up on. But if you plan to have one newsletter sign up on the homepage, then I think a self-segmentation would be a better way of going about that. Does that answer your question? And Paul, let me know if you want to add to that.
Well, let's make sure that it's answered the question first or not. Does that make sense, Pierre?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Okay. So then so what I would add on to the 2 cents. So I kind of read the question differently. I read it as, how would I make the newsletter have the top blog posts? And then be able to segment based on what they're clicking. That's how I read it initially.
Yeah.
But I can see what you're talking about, Renee. Of there's all sorts of I think the popularity of posts and things like that. And Katrina made a great point. Google Analytics on WordPress will track and count all that. So there's definitely got to be somewhere. I think that's even like a native widget built into WordPress these days. You can show like most popular blog posts. As far as the sign up. I agree with Renee that it would probably be better to give them their preferences on the front end. And I would not recommend making it a binary either. If you have the IT interest, for example, don't just say yes, no. Yeah, how often do you want the ITs? Every month or every time, maybe like every time there's new posts, or maybe a monthly roundup or something like that, and then never. And so you can give people the option to manage their preferences, gives you a little more control over the list. And for the people that choose monthly, it should be a much more engaged audience because you're respecting their time, and hopefully you're respecting yours. And as long as it's valuable, it works. For the back end of the newsletter and what would be the most popular posts, there's no way to automatically do that, but this would be a great use case for campaign merge fields and links. So maybe your newsletter has the main content, and then the bottom, it's like, here's our, popular blog posts. But the email itself is literally, that section of the email is just campaign merge fields and links. So now when you go to send your newsletter, all you have to do is, and you could even put the link to it on the campaign canvas to make your life easier. But go to Google Analytics and go to that page that shows the most popular blog posts or wherever you pull that. And then you can update a campaign merge field with the title, update it maybe with the excerpt, and then a campaign link with the link to the post. And then when you republish the campaign with the new newsletter, then when you dump people into it, it's going to use the top ones. And then as far as segmenting people off of that, that would be an interesting one. It may have, man. I don't know if you can do this together.
I saw this, like, it's innate capability of like Keep, that for example, like I make articles or blogs that like one is IT, one is fashion, one is food, one is lifestyles or whatsoever. And based on what they click in the newsletter, on the pre-made newsletter, they will be tagged with that actual interest. So that's actually easy. The thing is that I'm trying to figure out is like automatically get the top blog posts that like people actually like the most from the front end of WordPress to automatically get into the Infusion soft. Like,
yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen because there's no way to do anything automatic in the campaign builder. But that sounds like it would be. Is how often do you send your newsletter? Is it a monthly thing? Is it weekly?
I'm structuring it so depending on the workforce.
Okay, so for example, let's say this is a monthly thing. You could probably distill that down to a 5-minute habit once a month, where here's my bookmark to this Google Analytics report, and then here's my second bookmark to the campaign, and then you spend 5 minutes. Okay, here's the title of the latest. Copy paste the title of the most popular, copy paste the URL, and then plus whatever time it takes to actually write the newsletter around it. And then as far as the tagging piece, I totally left that out, because you're going to be linking to these, even though it's a campaign link, you can still apply the appropriate interest tag. So if you know that the top campaign, the top post number 1 is IT, then that applies the IT tag. If number 2 is food, cool, then you make sure it's applying the food. And so, I think the order of operations and the workflow would be the most important thing. So like update the things, then update the tags, then write the newsletter, and then send it. But yeah,
no, I like it. I like the fact there is a bit of human interaction in the middle of the process. So,
there's no way to do any campaign building automatically.
Someday
we'll be all over it. I mean, the second that they tell the partners like us and like me and Renee, second people like Grady, you're like, yeah, you can build partners and campaigns in the API. I'm probably gonna lock myself in my room and learn how to do the API.
Well, Pierre, thank you so much too for asking your question. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciated the time and everything.
All right. Awesome. I saw Katrina's hand go up, so I'm gonna go ahead and give her access to share as well.
And thank you for your insight, Katrina. That was awesome.
Oh, I think your hand went back down. Okay. I think I saw your hand go back down. Oh, it was an accident. Okay. Oh, you gotta be careful. I'll make you talk if you put the hand up. All right, let's go over to Eric then. Eric had a question over in Q&A. And Eric, if you want to say it out loud as well, please feel free to throw that hand up. I can give you access to unmute. But he says in the Q&A here, a weird question. Is there a way to use the file download process to merge a contact's files?
Which, well,
so, and then he gives the use case, which is, this is actually what's the important piece. What are they trying to do here? So he wants people to fill out a form, upload a bio and a headshot, and then something goes to his team that has links to those 2 files. Which is a great use case for the whole file download question. I have my thoughts on that one. I think it might just, maybe I'm missing something, but it may be as simple as, once they upload the bio and the headshot, you would need to use a third-party tool like Plus This or some file uploader. That's not something you can do out of the box yet. But in the email that it spits out, you can put a link to the contact record directly, and then that puts you one click away from those files. Because other than that, I don't know any way to get files out from the contact.
Yeah, and I'll tell you guys, kind of peeling back the curtain, we have a service here at Keep where we will help you import your contacts, and we use Plus This as our tool of choice to help people to upload their spreadsheet so that we can task our team members to do the import for people. So Plus This is a great way. In fact, I know Renee or Paul, I know a lot of times you guys get discount promo codes for people for Plus This. So if you have one, if you want to throw it in the chat, that way if someone says, yeah, you know what, yeah, like Eric says, he's just being lazy. If you want to keep being lazy, throw money at it. That's the best way to do it. And Plus This, he says he uses Plus This. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, Plus
I'm
This is a
also,
wonderful tool. I actually use it a lot to run these webinars.
yeah, that's a great onboarding example. Using Plus This, you're onboarding people to the data import process. Hey, here's a form to upload your data, and then we go from there. It streamlines it. And as far as being lazy, Eric, I'm also quite lazy too. So if this was my business, I would say that the best, I mean, if it was my business, I would just link to the contact record, and then that's the best I can kind of do. Unless I want to do it programmatically through the API. But hey, that's still pretty ninja though, going from email right to the contact record. Awesome question though. Thanks for giving the use case too. That made it a lot easier to provide a good answer. And then did we miss any questions? Was that?
I think we got them all, guys, and we got about 6 minutes left. So I do want to make sure we give Renee and Paul a couple minutes towards the end just to kind of wrap things up. But if
What
you
about
got
Pierre's question? Would that be a good time to roll, or are you saying that is that definitely an offline one?
no, you
Because
guys can totally take it.
It's out of the scope of what we're talking about here today. Okay, because I thought it was a pretty cool question. Oh snap, where did it go? It was asking about the business model and then the campaigns. And
I think it was at 11:36 in the chat history.
okay, cool. Okay, yeah, curious on the business model. I download a campaign for the marketplace, fill it up, and then want to direct a client to your structure. Yeah, so I mean, as far as like the business model, as far as Keep is concerned, it's basically the freemium model. These campaigns or at least they provide free ones, with the idea being that hopefully you use it, it makes it easier to get started with the software and that you stick around longer. So I think that's kind of that's the business model, and the technology is there to publish campaigns. So might as well. And then as far as people like myself and Renee who are partners, then of course we can have our own, we have the ability to install campaigns privately. That's one of the things we get as a Keep certified partner. So for our end of the business model is we can sell, pre-built stuff. And that's kind of how all of that works. And as far as like, if you want to direct a client to the structure, just, you have to have a Keep account, but then go to the marketplace and download it, use it for yourself. That's why they're there. And I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point you bring up, Paul, too. Like with when it comes to Keep, like our big push with being a SaaS company, meaning software as a service, we need you to use the software, because otherwise, if it's like a gym membership, if you don't ever go to the gym, you're eventually going to cancel your gym membership after about a year being frustrated with not paying it. And that's the last thing we want. And so anything that we can do to get you guys to use software more often, that's a win for us. That's why these webinars exist, is to help you guys to get more value out of the software, use it more often, because if you use it, you'll see the value almost every single time. Most customers who are frustrated with not getting results is because they're not putting in the work. And there's a lot of amazing things this tool can do. Renee and Paul, I want to give you guys some time to kind of close us out here today. What are some things that you guys want to be kind of the key takeaways for people that came and joined us today?
You go first, Renee.
So, and I was going to just comment, Grady, on what you said about the value. I was going to say that unfortunately, it's not like osmosis, just being around the thing. The value doesn't just come. You have to actually do stuff with the amazing tools that you have. So,
Gotta lift those weights.
like if the gym, I could get some osmosis there, that I would be really happy. But anyway.
I'll pay you to lift weights for me, Grady.
um, when it comes to delivery and fulfillment, this is the closest to the transaction, right? Like you just made the sale, and now this is like all those promises and all that effort, and this is where it can like either be a cake splat, or it can be like a, you know, a celebration, like, you know, I'm thinking of like confetti going off. So I would think about as a V1, because this is where progress over perfection is going to be really key. Just getting something executed is key. So use those 3 automations that we shared, those out of the box campaigns, and even like pen and paper out. Someone buys from me, and if you sell multiple services or products, maybe think about your primary one, that's your bread and butter, and think about after somebody buys, is there something they should be getting aside from the receipt? Is there something they should be getting the minute after they buy, the day of that they bought, the week of that they bought, the month after they bought? So kind of just pen and paper that out, and then use these campaigns to get something in place, at least as your V1, because I'm telling you, it's going to make a huge difference in the client experience and also retention, because it is way more expensive for you as a business to go out and find new people than to retain the existing customers, or at least not refund them what they've paid you. So this is the most important piece. If it was like, how do I find new leads, or how do I like create happier customers, I would focus on how do I create happier customers before I put more people into that process and get more unhappy people. So that would be my key takeaway. Just focus on this process, pen and paper it out, and start with a V1.
Yeah. And to piggyback on that, if it helps, think of it like storyboarding, like they do in like TVs or movies, or even like in theater, plays, just how there's the different acts or the different scenes. Just think about, I've let's say that it's an unassisted purchase, meaning I can buy it on my own. I don't have to talk to a sales rep. So when I hit that confirm order button and it takes my credit card and hits my bank, what's the next scene? That's an email. Hey, here, well, actually the next scene in their experience actually is a thank you page that says, go check your email for your stuff. And then, what do they see next? And if you design it, I guess you have a better chance of being successful if you design it rather than just hoping. So like if you want to do a survey, cool, intentionally design a survey and then choose where in your process it happens. Because yeah, really, it's all based on like your imagination and what kind of experience you want to create. And then the software just makes sure that it's the same for everybody.
Awesome. I love that, guys. And thank you so much. I'm so happy that both of you are here today. It takes a lot of the burden off me to keep Renee entertained. And I'm thankful for all you guys for joining us today as well. And of course, if you want to connect with Renee and Paul, we've got both their links here on the screen. I also threw it into the chat, and I'll include it in the follow-up email. And so I know what happens is as soon as I click on end meeting, you're going to get a question. Connect with them, go join their Facebook groups and get involved with and get to know them better, because they are super intelligent partners of ours. They're the reason I have them on today's session. And so go and connect with them. You'll learn a ton, and these sessions are going to continue. Pierre, you said this is your second session. Come join us again. We have these every Tuesdays and Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. We just adjusted the timing because of daylight savings time. And I'm super happy you guys are here today. I appreciate Paul and Renee again for coming and joining me. And we'll see you guys again soon.
Thanks, Grady. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.